Hi, boys and girls. Mrs. Mosher here, and I have a story for you. This is my favorite version of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I like the way it's told, but I especially like the illustrations. And can you tell just by the front cover who did the pictures? Yeah, you're right, Jan Brett. And the name of the story, of course, is Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And this particular version, it's an old story, so we don't know who wrote it. Um, but it was retold and illustrated by Jan Brett. And the publishing company was Dodd and Mead Company from New York. Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And just like Jan Brett's style evolved into, she's telling some of the story in the borders. Once upon a time, there were three bears who lived together in a house of their own in a wood. One of them was a little, small, wee bear, and one was a middle-sized bear, and the other was a great, huge bear. They each had a bowl for their porridge, a little bowl for the little, small, wee bear, a middle-sized bowl for the middle-sized bear, and a great, huge bowl for the great, huge bear. And they each had a chair to sit in, a little chair for the little, small, wee bear, a middle-sized chair for the middle-sized bear, and a great huge chair for the great huge bear. And I love the peregrine falcons that were carved along with the eggs on the top of Papa's chair. And look at the sunflowers in Baby's chair. And here's Baby's porridge bowl, and the middle-sized bear's porridge bowl, and Papa Bear's porridge bowl. One day, after they had made their porridge for breakfast and poured it into their porridge bowls, they walked out into the woods while the porridge was cooling. And while they were walking, a little girl named Goldilocks came to their house. First, she looked in at the window. Then she peeped in at the keyhole. Was that good manners? No. And seeing no one was at home, she lifted the latch. Now that's especially not good manners. The door opened before her, and in she went. We could say she was very curious, couldn't we? Oh, how pleased Goldilocks was when she saw the steaming porridge on the table. The sweet smell of the porridge with roasted nuts and honey and berries filled the room. It was so tempting that Goldilocks set about helping herself. First, she tasted the porridge of the great huge bear, but it was too hot. Then she tasted the porridge of the middle-sized bear, and that was too cold. And then she tasted the little small wee bears, and it was neither too hot nor too cold. It was just right. And she liked it so much, she ate it all up. Now here's Mama's chair, the middle-sized bear's chair. Then Goldilocks sat down in the chair of the great big bear. But it was too hard for her. Then she sat down in the chair of the middle-sized bear, but that was too soft. Look how she's sinking right down. And then she sat down in the chair of the little small wee bear, and this chair was neither too hard nor too soft, but just right. So Goldilocks seated herself in it, and there she sat until the bottom of the chair gave way, and down she came plump upon the floor. Plump. Well, then Goldilocks went upstairs to the bedroom in which the three bears slept. First she lay down upon the bed of the great huge bear, but that was too high at the head for her. So it's kind of slanted like this, and your head goes up here. Then she sat down upon the bed of the middle-sized bear, but that was too high at the foot for her. So that one kind of went this way. Her head was down, her feet were up. Well, then she lay down upon the bed of the little small wee bear, and that one was neither too high at the head nor too high at the foot, but just right. So she covered herself up comfortably and fell fast asleep. Well, by this time, the three bears thought their porridge would be cool enough to eat, so they returned home for breakfast. Now, Goldilocks had left the spoon of the great huge bear standing in his porridge. "Somebody has been at my porridge," said the great huge bear in his great rough, gruff voice. And when the middle-sized bear looked at hers, she saw that the spoon was standing in that one too. "Somebody's been at my porridge," said the middle-sized bear in her middle-sized voice. Well then, the little small wee bear looked at his bowl, and the spoon was in the porridge bowl, but the porridge was all gone. "Somebody's been at my porridge and has eaten it all up," said the little small wee bear in his little small wee voice. Well, upon this, the three bears, seeing that someone had entered their house and had eaten up little small wee bear's breakfast, began to look about them. Now, Goldilocks had not put the hard cushion straight when she rose from the chair of the great huge bear. "Somebody has been sitting in my chair," said the great huge bear in his great rough, gruff voice. And Goldilocks had crumpled the soft cushion of the middle-sized bear. "Well, somebody's been sitting in my chair," said the middle-sized bear in her middle voice. And you know what Goldilocks had done to the third chair. "Somebody's been sitting in my chair and has sat the bottom right out of it," said the little small wee bear in his little small wee voice. Well, then the bears thought it was necessary that they should make a further search. So they went upstairs to their bedroom. Now Goldilocks had pulled the pillow of the great huge bear out of its place. "Somebody has been lying in my bed," said the great huge bear in his great rough, gruff voice. And Goldilocks had pulled the cover of the middle-sized bear out of its place. "Somebody has been in my bed," said the middle-sized bear in her middle-sized voice. And then the little small wee bear came to look at his bed, and there was Goldilocks, sleeping peacefully, her long shiny braids spread across his pillow. Now little small wee bear just stared at her for a moment and didn't say anything. But then he cried, "Somebody's been lying in my bed and here she is!" And look at how Goldilocks is holding a couple of tulips in her hand. Isn't that beautiful detail in that illustration? And her braids, too. Goldilocks had heard in her sleep the great rough, gruff voice of the great huge bear and the middle-sized voice of the middle-sized bear, but it was only as if she had heard someone speaking in a dream. But when she heard the little small wee voice of that little small wee bear, it was so sharp and so shrill and so like her own that it awakened her at once. Look at the expression on her face. And look at the embroidery. Those are done by hand, those decorations on that clothing. Up she started, and when she saw the three bears on one side of the bed, she tumbled herself off the other and ran to the window. Out Goldilocks jumped and ran away as fast as she could run, not looking behind her until she was very far away. And what happened to Goldilocks afterwards, no one can tell. But the three bears never saw anything more of her. The end. So that's Jan Brett's retelling and illustrations for Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And of course, her illustrations always have elements of beauty and detail that are amazing. So, boys and girls, that's all for right now. And I'll see you again real soon. Bye now.